Welcome to the Happy Pear podcast. We're Dave and Steve, identical twins from the Happy Pear. And today we have a very special guest with you.
This person has been a leading pioneer for over 25 years. He's someone we've deeply admired, and he is known as the Juice Master. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Jason Vale.
He's sold millions of copies of his juicing books. He's inspired literally millions of people via his app, via his documentaries, via his retreat centers, which he's been running for more than 2 decades, inspiring people to juice and really embrace the simple health practice that nature provides. He's really good fun, and he's got a really kind of wise, bigger picture approach, which is he's very much about fun and joy, and he's jubilant and joyous and glorious.
And he wanted to be a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, he's good crack. He really, really is. So, this is a great conversation with Jason Vale, really inspiring about the power of juicing and some of the simple things that you can do to really transform your own health and well-being. Jason Vale, the legend, in the house. Welcome, Jason!
See, now there's an intro. Thank you, gentlemen.
That was better. There's more energy in it that time, wasn't there?
There was a lot of energy in that time. I really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you for having me. Guys, I've got to say, I was going to say almost a lifelong dream, but not really because I'm 56. But certainly a dream for the last 20 odd years, admiring you guys. And now I'm on your amazing podcast. Thank you. Really appreciate you having me on.
Delighted. Well, I feel we've so much in common. I'm really surprised that we haven't crossed paths in 100 times since now. So really, yeah, like it goes back to, we started juice bars back a long time ago, and you had juice bars in Ireland at the same time. And, you know, it really is. It's glorious to have you.
Yeah, and I was aware of you. I'd nearly popped in many a time. This is going back so many years. And for some reason, something happened. I had to fly out. I don't know. But anyway, our paths finally crossed.
Woohoo! Jason, I thought a good place to start off, and maybe it's a little bit antagonistic, but for people listening and kind of go, juicing, are you not extracting all the fiber and the sugar's all available? I'm not into it, Jason. I'm not into it. What do you say to that when somebody comes up with that? Because you've probably heard that 1,000 times.
Probably more than 1,000 times. Yeah. Do you know what's funny? I once did a junket in Dubai. So whenever there was a time that I was representing Philips Juicers and Moulin Lex, and they fly you around the world and you end up doing these junkets. And I remember, because I was getting the same questions from everybody, that I decided to laminate a load of questions. So, and then I found it quite funny when they would sit down with me in this hotel and they'd say, Jason, I've got some questions for you. I said, no, I've got some questions for you. And they said, well, no, I said, I've got the questions you're going to ask me. And they go, no, you don't know what I'm going to ask you. I said, I do. Here they are. Number one, what about the fiber? Number 2, is there too much sugar? Number 3, is it sustainable? Number 4, blah, blah, blah. And it just goes on.
Number 4, what to do with the pulp?
And I suppose the most interesting observation I've made over the years, and I say this when people come on the retreat and I'm doing an opening talk, and I always ask people, did you have any kickback with coming to the retreat? You're going to be on nothing but juice for often a minimum 7 days. Some people do 14 or 28 days and they never super juice me. And I say, do you get any kickback? And I say, because I see it on social media and they're always asking the question, well, if you really thought this through, it could be a little bit dangerous. And the one that always makes me laugh to quite a large extent, have you contacted your doctor before coming? Now, a juice retreat or a juice program of any kind, that's not the time to contact your doctor before you start that. The time to contact your doctor is say, listen, I'm off to Wayne Lineker's in Ibiza and I'm off to Vegas. So I'm going to be drinking nothing but alcohol, eating nothing but junk food. I'm not going to get any sleep. I'm going to be wired. So maybe I should consult my doctor before I go on that holiday. It's mad. You go over a few juices, people start freaking out. They eat junk all day long. So people have been, not one person asked if they're eating Pringles. Nobody interrupts them going, I don't think you should do that. The very second you're having a green juice, are you getting enough fiber? Yeah. Well, first of all, and answer the question, of course you are. You're getting soluble fiber. You need less than a handful of fiber every single day to keep everything moving. But you've got pectin, soluble fiber, particularly in pear juice. Pear juice is one of the best cleansers on planet Earth. But apple's the most common. Pear doesn't get as much press, but pear's fantastic. But if you just get a little bit of pear or apple juice to every single green juice that you do, you're always going to get enough soluble fiber. Secondly, fiber doesn't penetrate through the intestinal wall. You don't exactly need to study this stuff for years to understand this. It's only the juice contained within the fiber that feeds the body. The best way I can break it down is in layman's terms. I have a carrot. Imagine I've got this carrot. I put it in my blender. People say, oh, in your blender? No, I pour it to my mouth. We already own a blender. It's called your mouth. The problem is that most people don't use their blender. They go, oh, it's gone. So they're not chewing their food, so they're not using their blender. When they finish using their blender, the idea of nature, say, right, well, you finish your blender. Now we're going to just go down to the next piece of the mechanics, which is your juice extractor. Well, what's that? That's called your stomach. Your stomach is your juice extractor. So when it goes in, it extracts the juice contained within the fibers, and then it feeds the cells, and the rest comes out.
Pulp.
So when somebody has a juice extractor and they see the pulp, and they say, well, is that waste? The juice extractor, we just cut out the middleman. So what's happened is that we're just trying to extract the juice contained within the fibers, 15-minute express. That's what it is. It takes 15 minutes to leave the stomach into the cells, and you've got soluble fiber pectin at the same time. And then you've got the other stuff that acts like it's just sweeping, but it just comes out the other side. Now, again, nobody's ever advocating to become a juicearian or a juiceorexic. There aren't such terms.
Juicearian's a good one. Juiceorexic.
Juiceorexic or whatever it is. And they say, well, you shouldn't just live on juice. It's not sustainable. And my best answer to this is this. Just say, look, if I've got a car that isn't functioning that well because it requires a service, I put the car into a garage for a small amount of time in order to give it a service. I don't leave it in the garage forever because that's unsustainable and I'll never have a car. So what I do is that I remove it, obviously. So I remove it from the garage and then I drive. And once it's been in for a service, then it runs better. And that's all a juicing for 3, 5, 7 days. You've put yourself in for a juice service. You come out, it runs better. That's it.
Yeah, well, even if you think about it, one of the great medical practices, 100 years ago was fasting. Like one of the age-old medical practice was
religious.
Fast,
it was all
rest.
Religious, spiritual practices.
Like there was so much to it. And I know myself, whenever I do a fast, it's as much as physiological as well as it's an opportunity to slow down, a little bit of introspection, opportunity to reflect. It's like a pause. There's a retreat element to it, which I think is much needed in our fast-paced modern day life.
Yeah, there's no question. When you talk about fasting in particular, were you alluding to water fasting there or juice
Whichever,
fasting?
but normally I would have previously done a lot of water fasting.
Yes. I just actually, weirdly, 2 weeks ago, I just completed a 7-day water fast.
Good job.
Oh, it's hard.
It was the first time I've ever done 7 days. It's just to experiment. I suppose, like anybody in this industry, if you're worth your salt, you would always experiment. You would do things genuinely, not say you've done them. You genuinely do them. And I'd done 5 days previous, never done 7. And it requires a level of discipline that I didn't even know humans had. It is difficult. It's not for the faint-hearted. But then when you go from water fasting, particularly, and then you go, now I'm going to go on juice, well, you just feel like you've entered a banquet. All of a sudden, juicing is no longer deemed as a form of fasting.
Yeah.
It becomes the easiest thing in the world. But as you said, it's a time for reflection. People come on our retreats and they do juicing or they do it at home for 7 days or whatever. And because you're not numbing yourself with either tons of junk food, tons of alcohol, tons of whatever it is, you have to go introspective. You have no choice. And it's frightening because you have to. Some people start crying on day 4 of a juice program and they often write to me and say, why am I crying? I go, I have no idea.
You know better than me. It's your body.
Well, it's your body. I've got no idea. But what it does, it brings things to the forefront. I think the largest benefit that I can think of doing this now for 25 years when it comes to doing a juice program of any kind is the way that it genuinely it's been overused, the word resets, but how it resets your biochemistry. I don't know the science behind it, and science doesn't know the science behind it. Because they can't find an answer, therefore it's not true and doesn't exist. But it does exist, and I've dealt with millions of people from over the world. And what happens is no matter how hooked, essentially, somebody is on white refined sugars or anything else, we know that there's a 72-hour withdrawal. That's just a fact. 72 hours. Nicotine takes 72 hours to leave the body. takes 72 hours for caffeine to leave the body, 72 hours for blood sugar to regulate itself after it's been on white refined sugar. 72 hours is the golden marker. When you start coming out the other side, something strange happens. You're running on fat for energy instead, so you're not going up and down. But what happens after 5 days in particular, leading into 7, I would say 98% of people that come on a retreat or read the book or do 7 days, the one thing they all say, 98% of them, when they're planning their first meal, it always involves fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds, lean proteins, or a combination of all of those amounts. They're not craving Pringles. They're not craving this. They've reset their biochemistry, and now they are genuinely craving what the body thrives on. Natural foods from nature, and they think they're cheating when they have an avocado salad because they've been on juice. Now, if you think you're cheating when you've had an avocado salad, you've won the game. You've won. It's over. You've won. So that's what I love about it. Not only do you just lose weight, you clear your mind, you get introspective, but it's that reset. I think that's the biggest benefit, is all of a sudden you go, why am I not craving the junk? Why do I just want juice again? I'm not on the program, but I just want juice. And then actually during the evening, I want a nice salad or something. Yeah. So that's what's great.
And what are the things that you see consistently? Because like you've had your retreat center now for more than a decade, and you've got this Europe's biggest playground coming soon, healthiest playground coming soon. But you've had 10 years of people in real life coming to you every week, doing juice, feasts, whether they're a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever they are. What are the things that you consistently see, like that people struggle with, or what are the barriers that, or like what kind of trauma emerges? Maybe not trauma isn't the word, but you probably see a consistent pattern over the years that you kind of go, oh, well, it's quite probable they're going to experience X, Y, Z.
We've actually been running retreats for 20 years, but we've only owned our own for the last 12 years. So I've actually seen a lot of people over the last 20 years.
Wow.
And I've always been incredibly skeptical. I think healthy skepticism is where we should sit. I don't think we should just buy into anything. Even when I have read juice studies done on juice, I look at flaws, because there's always flaws. And I go, but that still doesn't make sense to me just because it's done on this amount of people. So when anybody says they've improved their health through juicing, I'm incredibly skeptical, especially when I first started. And the 7-day book came out, I was getting emails coming in saying, oh, my arthritis has started to improve, my gout has started to improve. I just saw this as anecdotal evidence, genuinely. I wasn't ready to jump on look at this. Because to me, it's like, really? I know I improved over a while, but is it this powerful? And then you go on retreats, and then you see the patterns you've just alluded to of people turning up this is the pattern. People turn up in the same state. Now, we always encourage people via email before they come on, why don't you cut down on the white refined sugars, the caffeines, all of the junk, just for 3 or 4 days, 72 hours before you come, so that you can enjoy the process of this holiday more, rather than it be the first 3 days, you miss your first 3 days of your holiday because you're on detox. Now, some people heed what we say. They make up about 0.1% of the people that come. Most people are normal and human, and they say, oh, I'm going to Juicy Oasis. And they eat, even those with a good diet tend to eat like a horse before they come. Then when they arrive, some think they're cleverer than us and they've got contraband and they put it in their room. We just search their room and remove it. So they've got nothing. But the nervousness, that's what it is. It's this nervousness, this fear. And all addiction is based on fear anyway. So if you want to figure out if you're addicted to any substance or food, it's very simple. The question you need to ask yourself is, if the thought of never doing it again fills you with an abnormal fear, then you're hooked. If it doesn't, then you're not. Give you an example. People who say, well, I don't know, whatever it is. So I'll give you an example. I like bananas. I love bananas. One of my favorite foods on planet Earth, the best portable sports food on planet Earth. Humans can never invent anything like it. However, if somebody said to me, Jason, for you personally, I don't know why, but bananas are causing psoriasis, asthma, eczema, and obesity, I could stop eating bananas in a heartbeat with no fear. I'm not thinking, how am I going to enjoy my life or cope with my life without my banana? However, you say the same thing to somebody about chocolate, caffeine, alcohol, whatever it is to the individual. For some people, you say, okay, alcohol is causing obesity, this, that, and the other, psoriasis, this, that, and that. You can never drink it again. Now, that's not just them going, oh, that's a shame. That's fear. That's genuine fear in their nervous system because they honestly believe they can't enjoy or cope with their life without that substance or without caffeine or without whatever it is. Now, some people can. They have a glass of wine with a meal, whatever. But that's how to know whether you are genuinely hooked on something or not. So people come with fear. So they're thinking, I'm withdrawing. What am I going to do? I can't have my normal coffee in the morning. I can't have this. What we find very rapidly is their fears are unfounded. We do a morning talk, we let them know anyway. But what we find is that they're not in a Jewish prison. So the minute we teach them freedom mentality as opposed to diet mentality, they're almost free anyway from day one. Because I say to them, you're not in a Jewish prison, you're an adult. If you want to go and get some chocolate or a coffee, we'll call you a cab. You can go into town. And then they go, well, I don't want one. So I use I'm not big on long drawn therapy. So I invented something called the shut up methodology years ago. And it goes something like this. It's the quickest therapy on earth. So somebody will say, I'm on a diet, but I really want to go and have a bag of crisps. So let's just say. So then I go, well, go and have a bag of crisps. They go, well, no, I can't because I'm doing juicing. I said, well, you're an adult, you can. So why don't you go and do it? Oh, because I don't want to. So I said, oh, great. So shut up then. Either have the crisps and shut up, or don't have the crisps and shut up, or shut up. Because the only thing that's causing you a problem right now is and here's the irony, gentlemen, people on a diet mentality, they're pining away for something which they hope they won't have. Try and get your head around that.
Oh, yeah, life is so paradoxical.
They're motivating around for something which they hope they won't have.
Yeah.
So whenever on the treats on day one, say you can have whatever you want. They go, and you take away their power. Because the only reason why people struggle on willpower, stopping smoking, or on diet is this internal battle that they have using willpower. And they're fighting themselves, saying, I wish I could have it, but I can't. I'm going to use willpower. As opposed to either have it shut up or don't have it shut up, but shut up.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a good way of dealing with it. It's probably something that you, maybe the first few you can't have it. And then you realize if I just let them be adults and be responsible, suddenly total paradigm shift, and suddenly they're all in. They're like, I trust this guy. This guy's he's making me take responsibility, and I like it, and I also don't like it.
I'd love to move the conversation into, so nowadays, like the food system as we know, like UK, Ireland, Spain, Portugal, whatever, that most of the Western countries, about half the calories are ultra processed food. You know, and the quality of the food is definitely we've been in the food system for 20 years, and we've seen the quality of food kind of, you know, from soils, depleted soils and chemical agriculture and all the various things, quality of food has gone down. So could you talk to us about the importance of juicing and the opportunity within juicing? Because there's a probability, like we've had other guests on, Patrick Halford, he was a great one for kind of, implying, if you remember Patrick, like he the Optimal Nutrition Bible and all these books, you know, he's been around a long time, and he'll kind of say that a lot of people are deficient in minerals and vitamins and we don't necessarily know about it. So juicing, could you talk about the context of the opportunity within juicing right now for the average person out there that could possibly be deficient in vitamins or minerals without even knowing?
I think the majority of people are deficient in a majority of vitamins and minerals, and without knowing. It takes a long time to become, because the human body is such a remarkable machine, it goes for a long time on deficiency before it makes a showing. Threefold with juicing, why it's so much easier now than ever in history to get into, but it's more important now than ever in history to get into, particularly over the age of 40. I would say over the age of 40, over the age of 45, particularly if you've been beating up your digestive system for that length of time, it becomes more important. So when somebody argues and they say, well, look, there's no juicing in the wild, I'm going, well, technically there is, because I've already pointed out there's a mouth and a stomach, they're juices, but I hear what they're saying. There's no juicing in the wild. I say, but there's no Pringles in the wild either. So the point here is that we need to do something, what is deemed as abnormal, to counter the abnormalities. When somebody is drastically ill and they're taking some form of drastic medical treatment, nobody says, well, that's not in the wild. Everybody acknowledges that for a short space of time, that what they might have to do is do something abnormal to counter the abnormalities. It's much easier for people, because of conditioning and brainwashing, to wrap their head around that concept when it comes to medical advice. It becomes more difficult for them to wrap their head around when it's down to nature. Now, if you take a thimble of juice, or even a juice this big, and you see all the antioxidants that are inside, all the vitamins and minerals, but also the X factor that's inside, because humans are very arrogant. And we like to name things. We like to say, I can name all the vitamins and minerals and everything else. In fact, I remember being on Radio 5 Live with the professor, and I think it was Nicky Campbell, and he was slagging off juicing, and he said about an apple, he said, we already know, and word for word, he said, we know about 84% of what's in an apple. So I said, look, I left school at 15. I've got no formal education at all. I'm as thick as a whale omelette, and I really wish I was a professor. However, I do have a question. I said, do you know 100% of what's in an apple? He said, no, I've just said we know about 84%. So I said, I'm being thick, but unless you know the 100%, how do you know you found 84% of what?
Oh, Jason Vale, I like it.
How can you possibly know? I said, is it highly probable? There are trillions of cells in the human body. Agreed, he agreed. So therefore, is it feasible? There are trillions of cells, and there are many hundreds of different vitamins and minerals, of which we haven't named or even focused on yet. And these are the X factor that goes beyond human understanding, that all represents doing something in the human body that, again, isn't in our understanding. All we need to know is stop studying the apple, just grow it in good soil and eat it.
If this conversation is inspiring you to juice, the Nama J2 juicer is honestly the best juicer in the market. We've been juicing for more than 20 years, and this juicer makes life easier. It has super low RPMs, rev per minutes. The quality of juicing, incredible. Hands-free technology where you can literally load the hopper and go have a shower, and your juice is made when you come back.
And one of my favorite features is that it comes with a 15-year warranty. They generally make machines to last. And finally, one of the main things that people don't get into juicing is because they find them so annoying to clean. It's easy to clean. It's wonderful. And they're a really good company. Dan, who founded it, is such a kind, beautiful man.
So if you're curious, you can get 10% off with the code HAPPYPEAR10 at checkout. That's simply go to namawell.com and use the code HAPPYPEAR10 for 10% at checkout.
Dude, we're the only creatures that feel like the only creatures that study nutrition are we're the sickest on the planet. You don't see a squirrel analyzing their nuts. Well, that's a bad analogy, but you don't see, you don't see a squirrel saying, I wonder how many essential fatty acids are in those. So once we understand a concept that I think most people understand and believe to be true, even if they don't voice it, the fruits and vegetables we are naturally drawn to, the color we're naturally drawn to, the anthocyanins, all the antioxidants, they do different things. So we are drawn to that. Primates are drawn to berries and bananas. We are drawn to it. So once we understand that, then the question comes in, and you alluded to, then why juice? Why don't we just eat it? My answer to this is always this, twofold. A, I once dealt with a really struggling guy with his weight. He had gout, type 2 diabetes. He had mostly every lifestyle disease there was. He was 32 stone in weight. Wow. This guy was hugely struggling. And I dealt with him one-to-one. It was while I was filming Super Juice Me. He never made the movie, but we was trying to deal with him separately. And his wife said, he's very visual. So why don't you lay everything out? So we laid 2 weeks worth of this Super Juice Me fruit and veg. And
just for anyone listening, 32 stone is me and Stephen and Jason added together, I'd say. It's something like that.
Oh, it's big. Yes, it's big. Yes, it is. Yeah, about that. Yes, you won't imagine.
Yeah.
So I laid out all the fruit and veg he was going to have for 2 weeks. And again, he alluded to that same question. Again, that was on my junket in Dubai. Another same question everybody asks. And he says, well, why don't I just eat it? And I said, that's a very good question. I said, I don't know why you don't, but you clearly don't, do you? Look at you. So I said, we clearly have to find another way in. Now, the reason why I got into juicing is because I genuinely, and even today, we ever went out for dinner, lads, and we went somewhere, you'd be surprised at what I order. Because you'd think I was going to order vegetables. I won't. I hate vegetables.
You're more believable. You're more believable because of the fact that you're not preachy, righteous, or like
perfect.
You're much more relatable. I really admire it.
Just serious. I don't like vegetables. I've never liked vegetables. I think they suck. I like salads, but I'm never going to be the guy that has a hard day at work, come home and go, I can't wait to tuck into raw broccoli. It's not me. Some people, fair enough. So years ago when I read my first juicing book, Dr. Norman Walker, one of the pioneers of healthy eating and juicing, and he alluded to the point of if you can't eat it, can you drink it? He didn't say it. I got that terminology myself, but I thought, I wonder if you can drink it. Then I looked into it. I thought, hang on. All fruits and vegetables are minimum 85% pure organic liquid fuel. All of the nutrients are in the liquid fuel, not in the fiber. So all I've got to do is get the liquid into me. And then it leaves my stomach in 15 minutes. It's bioavailable to the cells in a much better way than it would if I was eating it with a beaten up digestive system, which I had. So therefore, it's almost like juice therapy. So let's try it. So I tried a green juice without any apple. It sucked. I hated it. And then I juiced some apples, and they were cloudy. They didn't look like urine. I wasn't used to it. I was used to pasteurized apple juice that looks like bring a sample past. So when I got this cloudy apple juice, I was like, what is this? So I took a sip, and cliche saying apple juice changed my life. It completely changed my life. I was like, first of all, what is this? This is crazy stuff. This is like the most beautiful thing on earth. And then I thought, I wonder if I mix some of I called it green crap. But if I put the spinach and the celery and cucumber juice in with it, does it taste nice? And by putting a little bit, it still tastes nice. Then I went 50-50, started to taste a bit bitter. And then I knew I could get used to the taste. So I would say to anybody, that first of all, they're not into the correct eating habits, well, get into the correct drinking habits. Much easier to drink something than to eat something. It's much easier to go, there's medicine for the morning. Much easier to say, do you know what, on an empty stomach, people wake up and they have creatine, they have their little vitamin pills, whatever. Get a glass of juice. If you do nothing else, even if you don't want to exchange, if you do nothing else, you just go, I'm going to get my morning right. I'm going to get sleep. My breakfast also includes water in the morning, hot water or lemon or just water, and I do exercise. I call it brexercise. It's so corny. But I will not put anything into my body until I move my body. I need to move my body as soon as I wake up. Sugar's gone into my liver. I don't need extra sugar coming from any other source, so I'm happy days. It's already woke me up. So now go and move, because your body requires oxygen more than anything else. So get that breathing, get the dead cells done. I'll have my first juice 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. But when I have it, I sip it like a fine wine, because it's way beyond a fine wine. And I don't take it for granted to be able to go to a farm or somewhere and just go, I'm in a culture, I'm in an environment where half the world aren't, where we've got instant access to this. We should be blessed. And then somebody go, oh, I've got to juice this morning. No, you don't. You can shut up and don't do it. Or you can feel blessed you have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And now the final point on juicing, and I'm so jealous, genuinely jealous of anybody just starting juicing, because juicing's gone broadband, it's gone digital. And when I started, like when you started, tiny machines, you had to cut it up with a kidney shape. Now you've got cold press juicers where you stick it in a big hopper, you press a button, you walk away, go and have a shower. You come back and it's done. So the machines have made it easier. They've made it also cold pressed as well, so there's no heat friction. And if you can't eat it, drink it. And you also then blend a bit of avocado. There's no argument against juicing. People think there is. There's no argument that would actually stand up against the conversation with me.
No, I think the way you describe it is fabulous. Like, I love the idea that you think of your mouth as a blender and your stomach as a juice extractor. I think that's remarkable. I've never heard that.
But also the analogy that, like, you know, juicing is not, you don't see it in the wild, but you don't see Pringles, you don't see chocolate bars in the wild. So we need something extreme that can lead us back into equilibrium where we're in health. So
and on the topic of hardware, I remember when we first started our juice bar, we had this massive big, I can't remember the exact brand name.
Santos.
Yeah, the big metal centrifugal one that was just like, whoosh, it was like, you turned it on, it was like a big diesel engine starting down the back of the juice bar. Hello, what would you like? You know, it was massive. Whereas now we work with NAM and they're amazing. And Dan was even over at the weekend, and what a gentleman. But their juicers are phenomenal and they're beautiful to use.
I know Dan. It's funny because I love him and I hate him. And I tell you why I love and I hate him. First of all, if you've met what you have, he's genuinely one of life's good guys. He just is. He's just really one of those life's good guys. Secondly, though, I used to have my own juicer. I had the Juice Master cold press juicer. I had my own juice extractor, and then this thing come along, and I genuinely stopped my shop, and I got rid of my juicer. Sometimes you lose the game. You understand that something comes along, and you go, "Okay, I've lost." That's what it is. And they won the battle. But juicers before used to be so loud, like you said. And one of the arguments against was always, "I've got to clean my juicer."
Yeah,
I would juice, but I've got to clean my juicer. It's just I always say to people this now. I always say this, and I know this. I'm an admirer of this guy, so this is only for joke. But I always say, has anybody ever done Jamie Oliver's 30-minute meals? And then I always say, you need 2 hours, but have you ever done it? And the thing is, when you get Jamie Oliver's 30-minute meals, and you see him on the video on his program, and everything's already set up, right? Everything's already set up, and they go start.
Oh, is the power gone again?
Yeah, I think it has.
Oh wow!
Now,
there
you're
you
back.
go. Wait. Oh, there you are. Now you're back. You were on Jamie
Jamie
Oliver's
Oliver's 30
yeah,
minute
just
meals.
got there.
Everything's
Everything's
lined
set
up.
up.
Everything's set up.
Everything's set up for Jamie Oliver's meals. You think, how long has that taken somebody? Cleaning the pans will take another 20 minutes. And it's interesting that when it comes to juicing, if it takes you longer than 5 minutes to make a juice and clean the machine, you're doing something wrong. I remember when I was first starting, even with some of the old juicers, and they say, oh, it would take me an hour to make a juice and clean the machine. And all I said to them is, I would never employ you. If you work that slowly, I'm never employing you. And also, is it easier to clean a machine, a juicer, or is it easier to lie in bed on a dialysis machine? Sounds serious, but that's the trade-off. You either find time for health now, or you find a hell of a lot of time for disease later.
Okay.
And I mean, that's the trade-off.
Maybe tell us. I'd love to hear, like, because as you said, you've been running retreats for 20 years, which is very different than you doing it just alone by yourself. Like there's literally been millions of people like on the planet. There's very few people like you that have had this much experience of seeing juice transformations. And could you even talk through, like, I know they're anecdotal, but like stories of people's transformations? Like, you know, you've shot 2 documentaries, and the first one, like, they've been seen by millions of people. So maybe if you could just give anyone listening who's kind of gone, okay, juicing sounds interesting, sounds great, just talk about some of the real world experiences that you've seen and how phenomenal some of the results have been.
Yeah, I will. And to revert back, that's actually a nice segue, because I went off on a tangent earlier when you said to me, what are some of the things that you've seen up at the retreat? And I was saying I'm very skeptical about things. And when you see things happen again and again and again, they go from anecdotal. If it happens to 2 or 3 people, it's anecdotal. If you get a few thousand emails, it goes slightly beyond anecdotal. But when you start seeing hundreds of thousands, it then transcends anecdotal. But I'm very skeptical, because what you don't want to do is say this happened or that happened, because it sounds like evangelical. It sounds like, praise the juice, it's a miracle. I can see, I have legs again. You know, it can't grow your legs back. Do you know what I mean? It's good stuff. But a couple of funny ones. A woman came on the Turkey retreat many years ago. I was out there for her second week, didn't know her history. She was doing trampolining on the second week. I saw her just before she was leaving. She goes, what am I going to do on the way home? I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I've got special assistance for the way home. I said, well, why just for the way home? She goes, no, I had special assistance on the way here. I said, well, what's wrong? She said, I got really bad arthritis. She goes, I'm still saying it in the present tense. She said, I had really bad arthritis. She says, even when I'm saying it, I can't. She goes, I feel like a fraud because I'm bouncing on a trampoline. She said, my toes couldn't move. My fingers couldn't move. And I said, well, it could have been something else. I said, you're in a warmer climate. There's no question that, because I'm trying to talk at anything but the juicing, because I'm skeptical. So I'm saying, look, I think this whole combination helps and whatever else. But then you've got tons of emails saying the same thing. You have guys in particular, they have such a dramatic weight loss. Guys always lose more weight, but they tend to hold their weight in front. They tend to get bowel cancer a lot more than women, and they tend to hit right from the front. So distended stomachs that are hard. Anybody watching this podcast, if you've got a distended stomach, it doesn't go in, it's hard, go straight to your GP. You don't mess around. But you don't think, oh, that's just it's not normal. It's not normal at all, and something's going on that your body's trying to protect. However, you see this dramatic change in somebody physically, and whether it's, and they're all combined. This is the point of my first documentary. The subheading was One Disease, One Solution. Because I'm a strong believer, and I'm a strong believer because it's the truth, is that I don't believe there are subcategory lifestyle diseases. And I know I'll get hammered for it. I don't care anymore. I've been doing this for too long to know. Is that I had psoriasis covered from head to foot, 95% coverage. I was using my asthma pump 14 times a day. And that's the blue one, not the brown steroid one. That was twice a day. Severe hay fever, incredibly overweight. Loads of other disease. I was smoking 40, 60 cigarettes a day, all the other stuff that went on. I started putting the right stuff into my body. I didn't have one particular juice for an ailment. We don't put people on different programs at our retreat. We don't care what lifestyle disease they have. We say you're all on the same program, because the body, given the right nutrients and the right space, will naturally try and heal itself. I'm not talking about stage 4 lung cancers or anything like that. I don't want anybody to misread what I'm saying here. And I'm not saying there isn't massive need for short-term and long-term medical intervention, because there is. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them down the other side quacks. I'm really not. I'm in the middle because it makes perfect frigging sense to be in the middle. However, at the same time as being in the middle, I'm not stupid enough not to recognize when nature first do no harm. They used to say first do no harm, then try something else. And so when people start pouring this stuff into the body, and they always thank me, and I go, why are you thanking me? You get people thanking you, but they shouldn't be thanking you. We shouldn't be taking the credit. I never take the credit. I've never taken credit for anybody's health improvement over the last 25 years, because that is disingenuous. What I am, and I consider myself to be, is a nature introductory agency. So I'll say, Jeff, you've got gout, you've got everything else. Jeff, this is nature. Nature, this is Jeff. Hope you guys get on. I'm here to kind of facilitate. I'm like a matchmaker. And if I can make a relationship with you guys, my job here is done. But fundamentally, I can't say the reason why you feel better is because of me. The reason why you feel better is because nature's so friggin' amazing. So we've seen gout go away, we've seen arthritis go away, we've seen psoriasis, eczema, this, lifestyle diseases. And again, I'll reiterate, not stage 4 lung cancer. We don't deal with that. We're talking about and I don't know why it baffles people's minds to think, they go, oh, how come lifestyle diseases go away when you change your lifestyle? I don't know. So while stabbing it up, it's a really weird thing, isn't it? It's called a lifestyle disease. Change your lifestyle.
And what are some of the lifestyle diseases that you're talking about? So it's arthritis, it's type 2 diabetes, it's, as you
probably
said,
high
gout,
cholesterol, high blood pressure, gout.
Yeah, but they're all part of the same thing. So if you take a body and you put them on juice for 28 days and well thought through with avocado and everything else, why did everybody in the film Super Juice Me with 22 different diseases all get better? Why did all of their ailments improve? Why did they all get better? It wasn't to go, oh, we're going to target. We're not going to do functional nutrition. We're not going to go, there's an avocado for this. I really believe in functional nutrition on top of everything else. You can use it so well. It's a powerful tool. But for the majority of people with all these different ailments, they don't need functional nutrition. They just need nutrition. And all we're doing, if you think about the ridiculously simple concept of this, we're doing two things. We're getting rid of the toxicity and replacing the deficiencies. That's it.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And why? And all lifestyle diseases, the majority, are caused by inflammation. All fruits and vegetables are natural anti-inflammatories. You don't need 6 years of training to go. That's it. Yes.
No, I'm going to go. Okay, so we have been in the food business for 20 years, and catering and farming and all aspects of. How does it work? So when you come in a juice, so say you're now building your juicy oasis, so you're Europe's biggest health playground, which looks phenomenal for anyone listening. It's incredible. How do you cater for, like, say I go on a juice retreat, right? And I'm doing a 7-day juice retreat. Do I get a juice at breakfast, lunch and dinner? Are they exclusively green? What way does it come? And how do you make that amount of juice?
Yeah, so what we do is we use slow juices where possible, obviously. And we get as much local produce as we possibly can. It's not always possible to deal with everything. But we try and source the best, obviously, quality, because that matters. And then what we do is, and nobody has a breakfast till 10:30 in the morning. So some people come and go, I normally have breakfast at 8 o'clock. I go, not here, you don't. So just so you know. So we wake up, we do yoga, we go on a beautiful forest walk, and then we do a game of some kind, volleyball or something, and then we have our first juice. We have our juice, everybody sits around, this, that, and the other. That's always a thick one. So the first juice is always a blend. It's either some kind of protein, just pure blend, or moreover, it's normally what I call a smoothie with some avocado. So the juice of celery, cucumber, beetroot, whatever it is, the thin juices, then poured into a blender with some avocado. And then we just add a little bit of salt sometimes in there as well for hydration if it's really hot outside, but normally just as is. And they will sip that as a breakfast and take normally 20 minutes to half an hour, overtaking that. Then at 1:30, every 3 hours, sugar levels go down. 1:30, another juice, but a thin one. 4:30, another juice, but a thin one. During the days, thin ones. And then at nighttime, because people only have a bigger dinner, we add the avocado again into the evening one. 4 juices a day, 2 thick, 2 thin for everybody. We have 6'7" rugby players, professional. We have professional football players come. and they say, well, I need extra protein. I say, no, you don't. Not here, you don't. You're going to crack on, and you're having exactly the same as everybody else because it's all in your head. Trust me. Yes.
What's the biggest whinge? You've probably heard so many whinges. What's the most common whinge you get? Jason, what is it you get?
Well, it's hard to know because if you own the retreat itself, so what happens is, I call them Dementors, right? So what happens is...
For the Harry Potter lovers.
In Harry Potter 3, Dementors guarded the prison Azkaban, and they were 9-foot tall creatures, and they were faceless, and they suck the joy from life. Now, you can normally tell a Dementor when you say, it looks like it's going to be a nice day, and they say, yeah, but it could rain. Now, the majority of the time, we don't have actual Dementors. You can tell them a mile off. But because they're in withdrawal and detox for 3 days minimum, they have Dementor moments. So you think the whinging would be about, I'm hungry, or I missed my coffee, or no. The whinging is about, it's just about, there's a tile missing there. Do you know the sauna wasn't working this morning? You know, it's trying to find, they're just looking for an odd, because they're just a little bit upset.
Yeah,
they think they're going to miss their coffee, but we have chronic hydrotherapy at our retreats. I always joke in the morning talk. So you think you're going to miss coffee, but you can get up your ass. So, you know, all that.
You're good crack. You're a good
poet.
crack, Jason. Really, really are.
I always ask like a lot of therapists to say, if they're going to get coffee, to just jokingly, but they never do because they're more serious than me. Have some sugar in their body. Do you take sugar?
A cappuccino?
Sugar in with a coffee enema. Anyway, so that's fine. But here's the other point as well. You also, we ask people certain things before they come, if they've got any injuries or what. But what we don't do is this. I often believe the need for therapy is caused by therapy. I know I've got a very different view to most people. I think it can be addictive, like most things. I think some people are trying to get off of things. They become addicted to therapy itself. And I don't think some things really need therapy, no question. But I'm a big believer in let the space and the people do the work. So because people say, why don't you have life coaches? Well, first of all, I hate the expression. Sorry for any life coaches out there. Sometimes we joke and we look at them and they're about 18. I go, well, they're barely a life bus. They're only a life coach. I said, they're barely 18. How could you be a life coach? But anyway, so then as we move on, they say, why don't you have therapists here? You know, because I said, because nature's beautiful. The river's beautiful. Water is emotive. And whenever you go away on a normal holiday, you tend to sort your mind out. You go away with a place with no alcohol, no junk food, like-minded people, and everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's in exactly the same boat. What you find is you don't need therapists because everybody's each other's therapist. It's a beautiful thing to witness. And they all help each other, and nature helps the individuals.
Power of community and community.
It's the power. Do you know what? The Blue Zones, and I want to bring this up because I'm going to do a documentary about it, but the Blue Zones, you might have seen it on Netflix, the documentary about the Blue Zones, people living the longest. And I'm trying to work out what the common denominator is. But to me, it didn't look like it was food. Food played a part. Two things rose above everything else: community and hills.
Hills, yeah.
Community and hills.
Hardship.
If you've got community and you're still walking up hills until the day that you die.
Well, it was also a lot of them grew their own food, so they were out they were down weeding and like they had something to nurture, a connection to nature, but also the growing your own food because they're down hunkering, weeding, like caring for something, focusing on something. It keeps the mind active and the body engaged. So I think that was also
such a good point.
Yeah,
because it does. We're so far removed. I tell you what, I told you about my first apple juice that wasn't pasteurized. I'll tell you how far away from nature I was at the time, which where a lot of people still are today. I looked at the apples that were in a bowl and I said to myself, I wonder if I can get any juice from these. Well, it's called apple juice. But we're so used to buying in the carton.
Yeah.
And then we're so far removed from food. People just, they're so, you guys are got your own farm. You guys are so into this stuff, way more than even I am. You're gold medal. I'm silver. I used to be gold medal. For 7 years I was wheat-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, friends-free, personality-free.
You're a great crack. Really, what a laugh. Oh, you're brilliant. Brilliant.
A question was just bubbling up in me there is that, okay, so you've been in this for 25 years, which is like it's so much longer than most people. Like it's amazing. Like it really is. And what is something you wish you'd known when you were starting? Like when you were starting back out as that young man that didn't know apples could turn into apple juice. Like, what is one thing that like now you've seen so much, you've experienced so much, you've created so much, you've impacted so much. Like, is there anything that you go, geez, if I was starting back out, like what was one, well, other than having the blueprints of how to create an amateur juicer that would have helped save you.
Yes, if I had the blueprints for an amateur juicer, I'd be fine. I wish I started earlier. I think we all wish we started earlier. I didn't realize that the answer was in a bowl, essentially, in a farm. I didn't realize that. So that was annoying. Things I would do differently now. I would have never opened a juice bar.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And I would have focused entirely on. I would have done retreats much earlier. I would have done retreats way earlier, and because it just brought me to people. You know, writing the books was great, but there was no social media. It's hard for newbies to understand that concept. There was no social media. So you never had a relationship with the people that were reading your book. You had none. I mean, it's so beautiful now. The people that just write a book now, they're not even relying on a publisher. They go, iBooks, publish, boom, done. They go on a few podcasts, they do this, instant. It's very easy for them. And it's great. But at the time, it's one of those. And so I wish I jumped on Instagram earlier because I thought it was a fad. I wish.
Understandable.
Yeah, I just wish I don't know. I wouldn't have done a lot different. It's the sliding doors, isn't it, gentlemen? You must feel the same. Anything you would change, it's like Back to the Future, the best movie on earth. Anything you change back then would then have a catastrophic effect on where you are now.
Yeah.
Where everything is now.
It's very dangerous to change the past.
Yeah, of course. And regret is a poisonous medicine.
Do you know what I would change? Anybody listening to this, and I'm not getting heavy, right? So there was only me and my mum. I've got no brothers, no sister, no father. We were best friends on planet. She was the single most remarkable human on earth. And everybody says that about their mum. I was the most blessed human. The fact that I had her as my mum, if I'd just known her as a human, I would have been the most luckiest friend that anybody could have. Anybody who knew her were lucky. The fact that I was her son was mind-blowing. Wow. One thing I learned was this. I always thought she was invincible. She ended up with stage 4 lung cancer. They misdiagnosed it. It wasn't their fault. They said she had COPD. They gave her asthma pump. It wasn't their fault. They didn't deliberately do it. I'm not anti-medics like that. But anyway, the point is this. I always thought she would just be all right. And so I was always traveling. I was the start of the business, start of helping people. And I'm helping everybody else. And I'm flying here, there, and everywhere. Always missing my mum, not going back to Peckham, which is where she still was. And I'd moved to Birmingham. And what I didn't realize, and this I think I now know to be true, whether people think it's all spiritual or not. I know I'm not a spiritual person. I'm very skeptical. Never underestimate the oxygen and life force you are for others. We talked about community, and I think I was one of them. I could have kept her alive for longer. I think that the relationship that some people have, it transcends broccoli. It transcends juicing. It transcends. There's something that will keep people alive way more. It's that community. It's that touch. It's that. And I didn't realize I was so oxygen. So if you've got any family members, you think they're always going to be all right. Oh, it's good that I've left home. Oh, they miss me a little bit. They miss you more than you will ever know. You go back, you see them, you spend time on the phone with them, you do whatever it is, because you don't realize the power that you have beyond broccoli or whatever it is. So that's the only thing that I regret is not knowing the healing power. Again, I sound like one of these floaty guys now.
No, yeah, it's from your heart. You're speaking from your heart. It's beautiful.
But the healing power that you can genuinely have as one soul to another, how that lifts a human is an incredible thing. So yeah, so that would be the only thing. But most things I don't regret. Yes, chef.
Okay.
Can I go? I'm first. I just want to.
Okay. Well, then I'm going. Okay, he's gone to the toilet. Okay. So we've talked a lot about juicing, and we've talked about so many different things. Like, are there any things now, having been working in health for 25 years? Like, what are 2 things which you do every day now that are not juicing and that is not exercise that you find are really important for your health that probably are very relevant to everyone else out there? Because you're on the cutting edge of health. You are, like, you're at the tip of the spear.
So did you say not including what?
Not including juicing and not including, and maybe like you can talk about exercise if you want, but maybe like are there kind of nuanced things that are like, you know, like Stephen will often say like he thinks two of the biggest superfoods are friendships and laughter. He thinks they're the best superfoods on the planet. And he'll consistently say that, like, you know, food will get you so far, but laughter and joy and friendships will get you a hell of a lot further. So there's probably things that you found that, like, you know, like the way you implied there, that there's more than broccoli to health.
Well, Stephen's absolutely right, isn't it? I mean, that's the point. This is exactly why I'd never heard him say that. But and that's the point that I was just alluding to there. Laughter, I know it sounds like the minute you say that, you say laughter is the best medicine. You're in danger of becoming David Brent and Rick Hayes. But I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian. That's what I would have done if I wasn't doing this. And I think you've got to, and so one example of bringing laughter every single day is, if you read any of my books, there's humor throughout the whole thing. There has to be. And also, I did Hammersmith Apollo. I always wanted to do the Hammersmith Apollo, but I thought, could you teach health through comedy? So I just tried it out. 3,000 people turned up. I was humbled. I was like, are you kidding me? And we had and it was a stand-up show, essentially, just looking at the whole diet industry over the last 100 years. But me and my little boy, he's the most sarcastic little fella in the world, and I love him for it. We just joke. All it is just joke. That's how it is. So although I don't consciously think as part, because I think that's always a problem as well. Today you see a lot of these, and I don't even like the word influencer either. I've got to get into the real world, but some words bug me. But you get some people these days, and what they do is they go, right, here's my morning routine. I start at 2:30 in the morning. I eat 20 eggs. I did that. And they're doing all this on Instagram and TikTok. And you find it takes 6 hours for their morning routine. And that's without setting up the camera to shoot it. That's without doing this. And they go, I'm part of the 5 a.m. club. I'm now micro reading. Or just read a book. Just read a book. Just sit, there's nothing wrong with, not everything has to be a something. Do you know what I mean? So the two key things every day that aren't after anything else, I will bring exercise into it. I just think we're designed to move. I think we're dead unless we move. Well, in fact, the definition of death is when you don't move at all. If there's no movement in your body whatsoever, that's called death. Anything above that is life. So the more you move, the more life you're going to feel. So first thing in the morning, right, I'm going to jump on my spinning bike. I'm going to go swimming. I live near the ocean. I'm very blessed. I love mini trampolining. But just putting on a bit of Robbie Williams, just having a blast.
Did you like his movie? The one where there was
I want
to watch it because I heard you're a big Robbie fan. I remember. So
yeah, my wife has booked tickets to go see him. I think in August. He's back touring.
He is back touring. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to put it on the cinema at Europe's Healthiest Playground.
That's a great one. You've got a 100-seater cinema. I did observe that.
Yeah,
it's got everything you dream. Like this is like the health person's dream. Like maybe just let's segue into Europe's biggest, healthiest playground. Like tell us about this retreat space.
And it's taken 6 years to build.
Well, it's called Juicy Escape. It's 10 years in the making, 5 years planning, 5 years building so far. It took 5 years to get the planning. It's built out of naivety. It would never be built if I knew what I was doing. I've got no idea what I'm doing. People say to me, "Oh, how's it going to run when it opens? How many staff?" I don't know. I don't know how to run a resort. How do I know? I wrote a book a few years ago. I'll figure it out. Anyway, the point is this. I just want a place that I never want to leave. And I don't want anybody else to leave. And I just think that we're all kids. That's all we are. We pretend to be adults, but we're not. We're all kids. And all we're looking to do is have a blast. I'm 56 now. How many good years, like proper good years, not what people say, oh, we're still going to be on fire when we're 90. No, we're not. We're going to be knocking around at 90. We'd still be all right. We'd have conversations and we'd be playing backgammon. Fair enough. But I'm talking about how many times am I going to still sprint away? So I thought, Olympics. When was the last time? 90% of people over the age of 30 never sprint again. I want to do something about that. So we're putting a 60-meter sprint, 200-meter running track. You're battling yourself. We've got high jump, long jump. We're going to mini Olympics every week, just as a bit of a giggle. We've got an Olympic swimming pool in. We've got paddle tennis, pickleball. Pickleball is a game that Andre Agassi circuits where tennis players go to die, which is what it is. It's the most addictive racket sport there is. people that play racket sports live the longest. Everything is there for a reason. That's scientifically proven as well. Why is that? I think community, this, who knows? The thing is that I want people to come along, spend a week or whatever, and go, I just had a blast with like-minded people. You guys have got to come.
Yeah,
it
really.
sounds dreamy. It sounds
I looked
fabulous.
at the video and I was like, that just looks incredible.
You there, hopefully to the opening. Gary Barlow singing at the opening. Free.
Wow.
He's the beautiful talent. He just said he's going to come and sing. We're going to have a football tournament there because Soccer Aid wouldn't have me because I wasn't famous enough. Gits. I hadn't been on Love Island probably. So anyway, so I thought, my mom always said, if they won't have you, Soccer Aid or whatever, whoever it is, just create your own. So Footy Aid is
I saw
starting.
the beautiful blue pitch. It looks gorgeous.
Or Alex Scott is going to head it up and charity.
Nine aside.
Do you play football, guys?
Tonight we've won, like, in the Happy Pear here. We're currently here in Pearville, and this is our production facility, and then we have our cafe. So we often play the cafe against Pearville. That's tonight at 7 p.m. Come on! It's great crack. My two little boys play as well. We have a laugh.
I've just thought of an idea while you're on.
We're going to challenge you to a game.
No, you're on my side. I'm going to put. How about this? Health guys, essentially, right? Versus the celebs.
Versus the footballers.
You know about it.
Yeah, whatever it is, like Callum Best, whoever, whoever we get. Man, Letitia said he's going to come and play in the charity game and stuff like that. So
he's
how
a real
about
player.
having us versus the ex-football player?
I'm in.
I love it.
Are you in?
We're
in.
The only challenge with us is we're a bit rough. We used to play rugby for years, so we kind of play like football rugby.
No, we don't. We're just enthusiastic and competitive.
No,
deeply competitive.
No, it'll be a non-contact and lovely sport, gentlemen, please.
Oh, it is.
You're not a chance.
Don't be like Ben Shepherd and start hacking everybody down, whatever you do.
No,
anyway.
it's fun. Purely fun.
Okay. Okay, a couple of quick little questions just to finish with. Juice or smoothie?
Juice. I would say juice 100% because it's more bioavailable to the cells. You get more green juices that way, and you're more likely to eat the things that you would blend than you would eat the things that you would juice.
Perfect. Favorite juicer?
Juice. No, there's only one. It's a Nama J2 juicer. Nothing comes close.
Yeah, love that one. And final one, your favorite juice. If I was to make a juice for you on your deathbed, what would it be? The great Jason
Maybe not
Vale.
your deathbed, just today.
Well, I was going to say, first of all, my deathbed, I'm going to have something else, dude. Don't even bring a juice.
I'm on ice cream.
Well, that's why I thought of that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I mean, I like juicing, but come on. My favorite juice, thin juice, always apple, celery, cucumber, beetroot, ginger. Boom, done.
Boom.
Easy.
Jason Vale, you the man.
You
I've really enjoyed
are
this. You're great crack.
What a laugh. That was brilliant.
Coming to a treat. I am honoured. I know I've jumped around a bit on here. I cannot believe I'm finally on your podcast. You guys have changed so many lives. You do so much good. You probably don't even realize it's all normal to you, but you made such an impact over the 2 decades, and not many people do that. So I applaud you.
Well, you're looking in the mirror. You're looking in the mirror. So
Yeah,
thank you. And we genuinely would love to come to your retreat center. Like it looks, it just, a friend went and had such a lovely time. She spoke so highly of it.
Listen, you guys will come to the escape before it opens. I'll have a special kind of do.
Okay, deal.
Brilliant.
Deal.
We're in.
Cheers.
Brilliant.
Well, thanks, Jason Vale. You're wonderful.
That was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. Super, super fun and so insightful. Like genuinely, like what came through to me was that Jason's joy and appetite for life and appetite for helping people and gratitude. He seemed to be very grateful for a lot of things going on in his life.
And I want to go make a juice.
Yeah, so do I. And
I'm
I want to
taking
get
out my
retreat
J2
centre
now, and we're going to make a vegetable juice.
Yes. So thank you for joining. We really, really appreciate it. Thanks for being part of our Happy Pear community. If you want to go deeper on your journey, we've got a recipe club. Do check that out on our platform. And just to say thanks to you, and we wish you a really, really wonderful day.
Bye.